Assistant Professor David Aipperspach here, giving you a studio tour. Walking up to my building now. I'm in the Old Kensington neighborhood of North Philly. As you can see, this is an old building. See Crane Co. up at the top there, known as the Crane Building now, or Crane Arts. Historically, this building was a warehouse for a plumbing supply company. About 15 years ago, it was converted to a bunch of art studios and workspaces by some faculty members at Temple University, some artists. They were not far from Temple as we are here. So yeah, it's been occupied by artists ever since, again, about 15 years or so. Foot pole, sign of the times. And up a few flights of stairs here. A lot of old brick and squeaky wood floors. And I'm about a mile from home, so pretty convenient. Just a quick bike ride or 15-minute walk down here. And that occurs just about every day that I'm not, teaching or busy with other things. So now we're up on the third floor. Kind of private individual spaces. Handful of artists and faculty members of other area colleges and universities have studios here. There's an architecture firm on this floor. A couple of nonprofits kind of spread throughout the building. And into my own space here. So here's the space. And I've been in this studio about 5 years now. I'll give you sort of a tour here of how I'm set up, and then talk about some of my recent work. So we're facing west, good afternoon light. Typical schedule, I kind of do life things in the morning, get that sort of stuff taken care of, and then like to spend afternoons and evenings here. So a lot of work that's accumulated over the past couple of years. A kind of storage nook there, big work table in the center, paintings on the walls, as well as other sort of photographs, props, ephemera. Art doesn't exist in a vacuum, and painting in particular is sort of a self-referential medium. So of course here's a kind of rotating library of books of artists and painters that I'm thinking about at any given time. It's kind of the main zone here. I usually work on this big wall, all lit up here. This like big table on wheels. Almost all oil paint at the moment. So tubes of paint in different painting mediums and things below, and then kind of active palette zone up top, under saran wrap now, so that none of the paints or colors are drying out as I've mixed them. A lot of brushes, sort of fairly traditional tools of the trade here. People always get a kick out of these. These are perhaps the most exciting and very important to the surface quality of some of these paintings I'll show you. It's synthetic badger hair, and they're these big, soft, kind of floppy brushes. They're actually made for like faux finish if you're doing restoration work on plaster or faux marble or things like that. So sort of more the tool of a craftsperson than an artist. But that's one of the things I like about painting is this navigation of, the super kind of specific and immediate and material and craft concerns to then, broader ideas about the work that you're making and how it fits into the context of painting and philosophical ideas and painting's history and all of that. So these are sort of hung fairly densely here. The last couple years I've been working on these small to mid-size or kind of medium-large paintings. And as you can see, sort of familiar subject matter, things you might be able to easily kind of identify and name, right? Flowers, still lifes, microwaves, sunsets, deep horizons, and then these cropped figures. And I'm interested in the ways that painting, especially paintings made very slowly and kind of deliberately as these are, can sort of isolate subjects. And paintings have a way of kind of like freezing images and even freezing time, such that when they're represented, even kind of ordinary or familiar subjects can take on this strange and sort of really peculiar and even sometimes, I think, funny consequence just by nature of being painted in this particular kind of slow, highly rendered way. Another one up high on the wall here, same idea. This was a little model built using that device with this frayed wire. Kind of reads as this weird hair of a machine or something, again with those shadows kind of being reflected by that light that reads as the sun. And up close, as you can see, they're pretty tight. As I said, slowly made. In these, I wasn't so interested in, showing any sort of like expressionism or like painterly brushstroke, as you might expect in certain kinds of painting, but more that everything would kind of be fossilized under layers and layers of this translucent paint. So the end result is a surface quality that's much more kind of gauzy and filtered, again, almost like the light of a movie screen or material like that. And I'll work on several things at once. Here's some paintings in progress here. So it's always kind of this negotiation of working towards finishing one thing while kind of sitting down and making drawings and sketches and notes and lists of ideas that may come in the future. That often occurs in this space here. As you can see, sort of scattered. They're often these little thumbnail sketches or lists or phrases. I kind of work to a soundtrack often of audiobooks in here, mostly contemporary fiction. So I'm constantly sort of like consuming novels and short stories while I'm making images. So often I'll pause and jump over and jot down phrases that I'm reading or hearing as I'm working, and those kind of become ways to unlock new images. Some of these things here, I don't know if these will end up in paintings or exactly what the life of them will be, but I've been making these. They're not actual books, but I've been interested in like the design of book covers and like image text relationships that have to very efficiently kind of describe larger moods and narratives. So yeah, these are ideas for my own sort of constructed book covers and titles that may become props for paintings or just straightforward paintings in and of themselves. People often say there's something sort of apocalyptic about these paintings, these like double suns that signal this new, warmer world, or these flowers on the ground that inevitably become sort of funerary, or the glowing tombs of these microwaves. And I guess I sort of like that sentiment that you're really moved by painting can catch you off guard. It's not overtly obvious. They're not really direct illustrations of those feelings, but instead it's kind of just embedded and sublimated in the way that they're made, the way that the light is activated, and then through their very kind of slow way that they read and the repetition of these subjects that should be, you know, much more benign than they actually read when you're in the room with the paintings. And then moving over, it's the one thing that's in progress at the moment. Similar kind of color and sense of light as the microwaves or some of these others, but structurally a different painting. I couldn't get in here, you know, for a couple months this spring, you know, with good reason, concerns around coronavirus and teaching remotely and other issues. So the way that, I don't know, I sort of let those breaks often kind of like set the pace, and often when I'm away from the studio, when I come back, it's kind of a good opportunity to start a new body of work or start working a different way. So this is the first version of that. Again, it's in progress, but what I'm working with now are these much larger paintings of interior spaces. So this started as basically a treatment of that corner of the studio. But it's just a constructed perspective space that then I'm filling with various objects. So there's a lot more of like constituent parts in each one. So there's part to whole relationships, almost like these tableaus that I think are going to take on kind of more narrative perhaps than the previous paintings where it was like kind of one subject to each image. You can see there's also some different speeds here. So I'm starting to shift back to some sort of fast, more expressionistic painting, kind of pitched against that slower painting. Some things are painted from photographs, kind of get that glowy flatness. Other things take on more dimension, like this mirror here where it's just propped up and then painted from direct observation. So the first version of this idea, and as you can see, some of the older paintings kind of get reflected on the wall of the studio behind where I'm making it. So I don't have all the language for it yet. When I start something new, I'll sort of like let myself just make 3 or 4 versions of whatever the new idea is. And then at that point, kind of pause and have friends over, other artists, other painters, and sort of let some outside people kind of read it for me and see how it's registering to others. So thank y'all for joining today, or watching this virtual tour. I welcome visitors, so if you want to follow up and see some of the work in person, if you're ever in this part of Philly, don't hesitate to reach out. Let me know.